At 26, Victoria Jensen often thought about how quickly 5 years had passed since she first joined the tall glass and steel tower downtown. Fresh out of school, she had taken the role of assistant without hesitation. It wasn't glamorous. Answering phones, preparing schedules, fetching coffee for her boss. But she told herself it was only the beginning. Her dream was to move upward, not immediately to management, but to something with responsibility, where her sharp mind and careful eye for detail would matter more than her ability to smile politely. She had taken night courses already, reading about finance and project coordination in the evenings. Slowly, she was piecing together the path she hoped would open before her. There was only one obstacle: Mr. Halverson, her boss. He was the kind of man who walked into a room as though it already belonged to him, with a booming laugh, a confident stride, and eyes that lingered a little too long on every woman in the office. Everyone tolerated him because he had power. He had climbed quickly and now sat as a department director, with the authority to promote, to block, to decide who would rise and who would stay stagnant. Victoria had worked under him long enough to know his habits. He liked control. He liked being admired. And he had an odd obsession with appearances. It wasn't just about wearing the right suits or carrying the right briefcase. It extended to the women around him. He complimented those who cut their hair short, who adopted sleek, efficient looks. It became a kind of unspoken code in the department. The shorter the haircut, the better your chances of being noticed by him. Victoria, however, had long, blonde-brown hair that brushed her shoulders. It was her pride, the one feature she never changed. Sometimes golden in the sun, sometimes deeper chestnut in winter light, it framed her face in a way that made her feel like herself. She couldn't imagine parting with it. Still, she wanted advancement. She wanted respect. It was late on a Thursday evening when the office emptied except for Victoria and her boss. She was compiling the last quarterly report when he leaned against the doorway. "You've been here 5 years now, Victoria," he said. "You've proven yourself loyal. Have you thought about the next step?" Her heart fluttered. This was what she wanted. "Yes, sir. I'd love to take on more responsibility. I've been preparing, studying." He raised a hand. "I know. I've seen your work. You're capable." For a brief moment, warmth flooded her, until he added in a quieter tone, "But capability isn't everything in this business. Presentation matters. Discipline matters. A certain image matters." Victoria frowned. "Image?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice as though sharing a secret. "I've always preferred women who project strength. No frills, no fuss. Short hair. Better yet, no hair at all. Nothing distracts from the work when the look is streamlined." Her stomach tightened. "Are you saying—" "I'm giving you a choice," he interrupted smoothly. "Stay as you are, remain an assistant and no harm done. Or show me you're serious. Cut it short, show commitment. If you're brave enough to shave it, well, that will prove you have the discipline for leadership." Victoria blinked, stunned. She thought she had misheard, but his eyes gleamed with certainty. He wasn't joking. He was dictating terms. She whispered, her throat dry. "That's not fair." "Life isn't fair," he said coldly. "But opportunities come to those who seize them." And with that, he left her alone in the quiet office, the words hanging heavy in the air. All night she wrestled with it. She couldn't imagine walking into the salon and asking to have her hair hacked away. The strands had been with her through school, through breakups, through promotions and parties. She remembered braiding it as a child, curling it for dances, letting it flow loose in summer wind. Yet every time she pictured staying as an assistant forever, watching others rise above her, the knot in her stomach grew. By morning, she was exhausted. But she told herself, "It's just hair. It will grow back. If this is what it takes." When she returned to work, she told him quietly, "I'll do it." His smile was broad, triumphant. "Good. I'll arrange it." The following Friday evening, when the office was empty again, he led her into a small, unused conference room. To her horror, a chair was waiting in the center, beside a table on which sat a pair of electric clippers, scissors, a gleaming razor, and a bottle of shaving foam. Her knees weakened. "You want to do it here? It's more efficient." His tone was sharp. "Sit." Her pulse raced, but she lowered herself into the chair. He snapped a purple PVC barber cape around her, fastening it snugly at the neck. The material was cold and slippery, draping heavily over her arms until she felt swallowed by it. She stared at the glossy folds, trembling. He ran his hand over her hair once, almost like a predator savoring possession. Such a shame, but necessary. Tears burned her eyes. The clippers roared to life. The sound filled her ears, buzzing, hungry. He pressed the metal teeth against her temple. She flinched, but his hand gripped her head firmly. The first pass sent a shiver through her body. Thick locks slid down the cape, golden brown strands tumbling like fallen leaves. She gasped as cool air touched her scalp where warm hair had been moments before. He pushed the clippers deeper, carving a harsh path over her crown. Long strands cascaded down, collecting in her lap, sliding off the slick cape onto the floor. She couldn't stop the tears now. They streamed down her cheeks as she watched piece after piece fall. The buzzing continued, relentless. He sheared the sides, the back, tilting her head roughly to get better angles. With every stroke, more of her identity disappeared. Within minutes, her shoulder-length hair was reduced to rough stubble. She barely recognized the pale shape in the mirror he held briefly before her. But he wasn't finished. He spread foam thick across her scalp, the cool cream making her shiver. Then he drew the razor slowly over her skin, scraping away even the faintest shadow. She felt utterly exposed, raw, humiliated under the heavy purple cape. When at last he wiped her head clean, it gleamed smooth beneath the fluorescent light. "There," he said with satisfaction. "Perfect discipline." She sobbed, staring at the stranger in the reflection, a bald woman, eyes red, dignity stripped. That night, she went home and curled into bed, unable to look at herself. She had agreed, but not like this. She had wanted opportunity, not degradation. Days passed. In the office, whispers followed her. Some colleagues stared openly. Others avoided her eyes. Mr. Halverson strutted with pride, as though her transformation proved his control. Victoria felt smaller than ever. She realized she didn't want advancement under these terms. She didn't want to be the example of his twisted preferences. She wanted freedom. It was over lunch with a colleague, Maya, that she learned the truth. "You too?" Maya asked softly, eyes darting around. She touched her own short crop of hair. "He made me cut it last year. Said the same things. Strength. Discipline." Victoria's heart pounded. He's done this to others?" Maya nodded grimly. "More than you think. Some quit. Others stayed silent. He thrives on it." Over the next weeks, Victoria discovered several women with similar stories. Some had shaved willingly, some under pressure. All carried resentment. And slowly, quietly, they began to talk of revenge. Together, they gathered evidence. Emails with his comments, recordings of his propositions, statements written down, signed. Victoria, once timid, now found fire inside her. The bald head she hated became a badge of what she had endured, and what she would no longer accept. They presented their case to HR, to upper management, to the board. The weight of testimony was undeniable. When the news broke, Mr. Halverson was called into a closed meeting. Hours later, he stormed out, face red, his empire collapsing. By the following Monday, he was fired, escorted from the building with nothing but a box of belongings. The office atmosphere shifted almost overnight. Relief spread like sunlight after a storm. The women who had once been victims now stood taller, united. Victoria looked at herself in the mirror one morning. Her scalp was still bare, though soft fuzz had begun to sprout. She touched it gently, no longer with shame, but with determination. He had tried to strip her dignity. Instead, he had awakened her strength. She no longer wanted to rise in the company under his shadow. She wanted to rise on her own terms: education, confidence, solidarity. As she walked into the office that day, colleagues smiled at her, not with pity, but with respect. And for the first time in weeks, she smiled back.